Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. In today's tutorial, we are going to be painting on a Mad River rock. So I had collected this rock with many others from the Mad River when I was down south visiting my family. I am in Northern Ontario, so sometimes rocks aren't easy to find, and these ones I love because they're nice and relatively flat and easy to paint on. So what I do is I am putting on the black background and I'm just following the shape of the rock to go along as the border because I want some of that rock to still show through, or at least so that you can see it. It acts like the frame around the actual painting that I'm going to be doing. And this is going to be my last painting in my Halloween series. So I'm also doing a background technique that I did very similar to my graffiti heart. I had a viewer write me a comment requesting that I do another background so that they could see how it's done. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm using purples. I'm using two different colors, purple, dark purple and a light purple. And then I'm adding in some white. So once I get that background on, then I go in with some details. Now I'm very sloppy with the details, and that's okay because that's the effect that I want. I want the different colors of dark and light throughout the whole thing, and I want it to be sort of in stripes or not completely blended. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just putting on some of the light purples and adding some of the dark purples. Sorry, it's a lot of peas there, purple. Anyways, so I do that and then I add a little bit of white in with my fine lining brush. So it gives it sort of like a very quick blend, but it still leaves some of the true color as well on top. So that's how I do this. And I'm just using the fine lining brush that I've made myself. I do have a tutorial if you want to go through my library there of all of the videos that I do have available. My fine lining brush is in there as well. So um, that's what I'm doing here is I'm still sort of putting in little sprigs of white here and there just to give it that blended but not very blended kind of look. All the colors that I do use in this tutorial are listed in the description below. So I include the brand name and the color. So that way, if you wanted to do the same colors, those are available to you. However, that doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. You could always use what you've got in your stash. You can use the background and make it into a color of blues, like dark blues, or use oranges or whatever you want. You can definitely um, make the background any color you want. Just make sure you don't blend the colors completely together and just sort of swipe the colors across. So as I've been chatting here, I've put in a moon. And what I did was I started off with a center sort of smush from my blending brushes there. And I just worked around in circles around it until I had a nice round circle. Now I used white for that. And it's a bit of an oval shape, but that's okay because I do end up painting over half of it, so it's all good. Now I'm putting on the foreground, so I'm doing just a gray color and just sponging it all on. And I want it to sort of have a bit of a hill, so that's what I've been able to do. And there's the path. Now I draw on a spooky house. So yes, if you did not see the thumbnail at the beginning, we are going to be painting a spooky house. So I just quickly sketch on where I want the house to sit onto the hill, and I had to switch with pencil because my General's charcoal pencil wasn't showing up very well on the white moon, so I used just a regular pencil. And I just put in some rough details of where I want things, and then I start painting. So I want the windows and the doors to glow. So I'm putting in some yellow, and then I will go in with a little bit of orange on the top to give it that sort of gradient kind of color from dark to light and just blending it all together. Now I'm doing it straight across where the house is going to be, and that's okay because I'm going to be covering up a lot of it with black paint. So I just wanted to make sure that I had some really good coverage for where I wanted those light sources to be for the windows and for the door. So now what I'm doing is I am just putting on the roof shapes. So I have two roofs that come in together, and they sort of connect, and then in the middle I have like a steeple that's going up. You can't really see it very well right now, but you will as I continue to paint. So now what I'm doing is just using some black paint, my fine lining brush, and I'm just outlining everything that I want to be outlined and then filling in what needs to be black. So again, using your light source, which is the moon that's in behind, you've got to determine what side is going to have the light side and what side's going to have the dark or the shadows. So that's what I was doing there. I put on the light gray color on the top of the roof there, and that's going to be the light source. So that part of the roof is shining from, I guess it's more facing or less obstructed from the moon light, I guess. So anyway, so I just continue on with doing the grays and getting the outline of the house, and I will get into more detail into the house, like doing the frames around the windows and putting in like the door frame and all of that good stuff. But right now I'm just wanting to get the shape of it so I know where things are, and I'm just using the gray paint because I can always go darker with the black paint if I wanted to. So that's why I'm going ahead with the gray paint. Now, the nice thing, I know I've said it a million times, but the nice thing about acrylic paint is that if you just let it dry, and if you don't like it, just paint over top of it, and it works out great. So, yeah, I'm just continuing on getting the shape of the house the way that I want it, and just adding little details here and there as I go, and of course got to work on that steeple there. So just using the gray paint and doing details with my fine lining brush. So, and I really want to get that steeple roof done up nice and have a really, really pointy tip to it. It's kind of what makes it like a creepy haunted house almost. And that's what I was going for. And I just love how the background behind it has those stripes through it of the light and the darks. And it really, it once this is resined, it really magnifies that the stripes in the background. It makes it look really eerie. So stay tuned to the end so that you can see what it looks like once it's been resined. It totally transforms this whole thing. Um, Speaking of which, if you're ever curious when you're painting on a real stone, what it's going to look like resined, I suggest putting water on it first. That will give you a really good idea on how dark it's going to go. Because you definitely don't want to, get this beautiful painting on and then you resin it and then the stone goes really dark and then you lose what you've just spent like 2 hours on making really pretty. So always do that test part first. You may notice too that I have on the right hand side, there's a um, line of paint that has sort of gone out of the lines. I will fix that up. It's really, really simple. That's why I haven't done it yet because it's really easy to do. I just use nail polish remover and a Q-tip, and it comes off the natural stone so easily, and you don't even know that it was there. That technique only seems to work on natural stones. When I try to do it on my casted rocks or the art stones that I make from the Happy Dotting Company molds, doesn't always seem to work. So there's got to be something about the density, or maybe it's porous, or I'm not exactly sure, but definitely works on natural stone, but it doesn't seem to work as well with the art stone. So keep that in mind. While I continue on the details on the house, I just wanted to thank everybody who has uh, watched my videos, who has given me the thumbs up, who has subscribed, left me comments. I truly appreciate them all. I read them all. I try to get to them and answer the any questions or anything like that. Comments, I definitely try to answer. But I do appreciate it all, and I do like hearing from you guys to let me know what you like, what you don't like. Maybe there's issues with links that are in my description box below. Um, I wouldn't know that unless you guys told me. So I really appreciate that. So basically, thank you to each and every one of you. Whether you're subscribed or not, you're just stopping by for a quick view, or if you've been an amazing viewer that is like sitting on the edge of the seat waiting for that next notification to come out. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and I do it for you guys. I love to paint, and I love to show you guys maybe different tips and tricks that uh, you can use in your paintings and whatever that you do. So anyways, I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the support, and I truly appreciate it. So, back to the spooky house. Now, what I'm doing, you would have seen me put on some shadowing light sources on the roof and on the left peak of the house because I wanted that to look like some light sources that were through there. And now I'm doing like the window sills, the frame, and then the um, honestly, I don't know what they're called, but like the plus signs that are the sashes, is that what they're called? Anyway, let me know in the comments below because I'm sure you will. Let me know um, what those are called. But I wanted to get those in there so that the light looks like it's coming through the windows, and then I just finished up the door there. Um, then I've got to put in my outside details. So we got to put in a really weird looking picket fence and a really weird spooky looking tree. So this tree has no leaves on it because Halloween is in October, so it's fall and the majority of the leaves have fallen. And so it just ends up looking like a dead tree, but really it's just in hibernation. Anyways, so put that on the side of the house, and then I've got to draw the fence onto the other side. I guess I'm not drawing it, I'm painting it, but so I do that. Then I've got to put in a cemetery. Oh, that's what makes this so scary. I mean, the house isn't creepy enough that we've got to put a cemetery in the front yard, right? That's right. That's what we're doing. So I just do a couple of plus signs and I do some headstones. And now I'm putting in the shadows from that are casting from the moon that's in behind the haunted house. So I do that for the tombstones. I do it for the fence. And I just use a lighter gray and I ever so slightly put pressure on the rock because I don't want it to overtake the painting. I just want it to leave little bits of lighter gray here and there. I'm also doing the outline of the walkway because I want it to appear like it's kind of raised slightly than the rest of the front yard there. And now I'm just adding in a little bit of yellow so that the light from the inside of the house is shining against the ground. And now what I'm doing is I'm just sort of lightening up some of the areas and I'm dabbing on the gray paint and then using my finger to sort of smudge it. And that way it gives it sort of like a ghosty kind of look or like a foggy kind of look. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want it to be a predominant color. I wanted it to be slightly faded. So using your finger is always a great way to do it. And honestly, if you don't get paint on yourself, you're not having a great time. You got to get right into it. I don't think there's ever been a single painting where I have been paint free on my hands. Um, I dive right in and I use whatever is available to me. And most of the time, it's those digits at the end of my hands that work the best. So um, if you don't want to get dirty, that's fine. Because it's acrylic paint, it does just wash off. So, I mean, it's not like it's going to be there forever. So now I've finished up a lot of the detail on the house and on the front yard. I just want to sort of sharpen up the edge of the picture or of the painting with the black paint. So it separates it from the actual stone, and then you really get to see what the stone looks like once it's resined. And then having this really dark black outline as a frame seems to work just perfect. And I just felt it was a little bit unbalanced. The composition needed something else just to balance it out. So I threw in this tree on the left side. And same as I've always done all of my other branches, just let your paintbrush go where it wants to. And then I just have to add one more thing to it. And that's a little owl that's in one of the tree branches there. And it's ready for a coat of resin. So there you have it, folks. Life is what you make it. So get creative.